Almost heaven, West Derbyshire, when it's passing Derwent River. Life is older than the trees, younger than the hillside, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Derbyshire on Kawasaki, take me home, country roads. Well, hello again. It's the day after the bank holiday. I avoided going out on the bike on the bank holiday because I know it's going to be packed everywhere and I prefer nice quiet rides. So here I am starting off at Baslow. Now the reason why I'm doing this little bit of a ride is that I've been on a group ride and I've sort of got used to doing mainly back lanes, and I've found that when I've been doing group rides on more main roads, I'm probably not quite as quick as some of the others on bends. So I thought I need to get a bit used to going a bit faster around bends, doing some counter steering. So I've picked a road from Baslow going towards Ashford in the water that takes on quite a few bends. In fact, part of it's called 13 bends. So I'm going to go round and see if I can improve my counter steering by heading a bit faster into the bends and letting the bike turn itself around the bend, really, rather than actually steering it round. So a bit of an experiment this, so I'm going to see how I go on with this. So the ride took me to Thornbridge Hall near Ashford in the water, where I went for a quick drink, and then when I came out the weather still seemed quite nice, so I thought I'll not end the ride there, I'll carry on a bit and see if I can film a bit more of the ride. So I put my phone on to charge on the power bank while I went in for a drink, just to make sure I'd got plenty, because I know sometimes it runs out after about half an hour. So put it on to charge, and then I carried on up to Monsal Head and down to Great Lonstone, and finished off. The last bit of road was what I covered in the other direction, so I stopped my filming when I got to Hassop station, which is a nice cafe there. Actually, I've not been to it for a while, but I didn't actually go for a drink there. I just used that as a finishing point. So I'll put on a bit of appropriate music now and let that be the soundtrack for a little while. Well, the roundabout we've just passed is Hassop Station. Obviously not a station now, it's a visitor centre and with a shop and a nice cafe. The reason I mention that is because that's the finishing point for my video. Do a bit of a loop round. So we're still carrying on with bends here, but not with the music on. In fact, going back to that, as I've mentioned on the previous videos, I do actually put the commentary on after. I'm not one of these clever people with a nice microphone who can do the talk as they're going round. Mine is added on at the end, but I found today the software that I use, which is Movie Maker Pro, it's been a right pain. I'm finding it very difficult to add any music back in or soundtrack or anything, because normally you can put it in place and there's a backspace and then it takes you back to the video editing suite, but for some reason the backspace button's disappeared, so I can't do that. So what I'm having to do is save the project every time I add a bit of sound on and then reopen it, and then that sort of takes me back to where I was before, where I can do something with it, and then of course I need to save the video for safety, because it's easy to get something wrong and end up having to start again with that point. So it's taking me about twice as long to edit as it should do. The song that I just played on the accompanying bit is Up Around the Bend. It was a hit for Creedence Clearwater Revival, but because I didn't want to get caught with copyright, because sometimes your videos get muted if you use copyright music, it was actually a version I found on YouTube by Creedence Clearwater Revisited, a covers band, and it may not pick it up, and it did have vocals, but I use an excellent website called vocalremover.org, and that allows you to take away any of the backing and just have an instrumental backing track. On the video now, I've just gone into Thornbridge Hall, which technically it's supposed to be about a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is not realistic, so I'm going slightly over that, but on my video it's twice the speed, because it's quite a long ride up to here if I did it at the normal speed, because I think it must be about half a mile to the top, and I didn't want that to take a lot longer than it should do. Anyway, going back, this vocalremover.org, it allows you to have an instrumental backing track to any song, and then you can use it for karaoke, as I did when I did my theme song. So, I mean, whether that's good news or bad news, I don't know, because it does allow you fun of just singing along to something without their vocals on. Anyway, I'm just about to pull up into Quacker's Cafe at Thornbridge Hall, so I've added a few photos onto it, and then get my cup of hot chocolate in there, my old favourite hot chocolate, and then I'll carry on a ride after. My original intention was just to stop here, but I thought, yeah, I'll carry on and do a bit more, so I'll add a few photos to it as I park up. I think I might have got the map and then the photos, so because I always put my map of the route. So here's the route I've taken. That's on the first part of the route, because I sent my Relive app once, and then when I decided that I was going to go and do further ride after charging my camera up, I set the Relive again for a separate ride altogether. So that's my first bit of the ride. Now, on the pictures coming up, there's the locks, the padlocks that were for years were on Bakewell. There's a bit of controversy about removing them, and then Thornbridge Hall decided to set them up and make it one of their things, and I do think it's quite good there. It's a good tribute for people who want to leave the locks without actually putting the strain on bridges, and I think it looks a lot better on the scaffolding they've put there. So off for me drink, and then I start a second part of the ride, and also on the second part of the ride I've speeded up the bit where I'm going out of the hole, and then back to the normal pace as I get to the bottom. So back through the car park. There's some goats and chickens at the bottom, so when I get back to the main road, I'll put it back to normal speed. So my first bit of the road, of the ride, off to Ashford in the Water, which is a nice little village, and then to Monsal Head, which is one of the nicest views in Derbyshire. But I didn't go out through Ashford by the straightforward route. I went a bit further into the village, which might have been a mistake because I got stuck with some horrendous roadwork traffic lights which held me up. It's strange really, when you get held up by traffic lights, a minute of waiting feels like half an hour. So I've obviously edited that bit out. I don't want another extra minute of me just stood there staring at red lights. So that's the next part of the video. It's only just round the corner from here, and then up onto Monsal Head, and then down to Great Lonstone, and then finishing off at Hassop station, where I just passed on that roundabout coming in. So I'll put a bit more music on. So we're just approaching Monsal Head now, which is one of my favourite spots in Derbyshire for fantastic views. I've done a few rides, either starting or finishing there. That lane where the little ice cream truck is, not the van, that's a nice little narrow road going right down into the valley, and it comes out at Lytton. If I'd carried on the main road that I was just on, that comes out at the Yonderman, a very popular bike cafe. So this time I'm going to leave by a different route to Great Lonstone. It's not one I've gone down all that often. I do recall when I got my first scooter, which was about 9 years ago, I came up here on one of my very first rides on it just to get used to it, and it just wasn't running properly. It seemed to be spluttering and just not running right, going up the hill to where I am at the moment in the video, and even downhill it wasn't going at proper speed. So I can't remember the exact problem. I think it might have been some sort of electrical transmission problem, but I'm not sure what exactly. But they sorted it out, and it was quite a good runner for about the 4 years that I had it, with very few problems. I mean, your 125 air cooled. It was quite underpowered compared with a automatic Vespa or something like that, but it served its purpose. It got me about, and finally traded it in for something more expensive. So this road to Great Lonstone, I remember years back, probably about 50 years ago, when I hadn't been driving very long, coming up here with some friends and relatives in a very snowy winter in my mother's early model Vauxhall Viva that I passed my test in, and it was rear wheel drive, but it had got a caravan tow hook on. It rarely got used with a caravan, but it put that much weight on the back end. It got through the snow better than front wheel drives did, even probably as well as some 4x4s. So that's just a distant memory of this road that I have from many years ago. So we're going to head down through Great Lonstone, and then my initial thoughts was to stop there, but I didn't really find a proper place to stop. The first pub where I saw a car park, it was on quite a bit of a slope, and that's not ideal for parking with a side stand, because you've got to be facing uphill if the slope's down to the road. You can't park sideways on either side, or it's going to be over. And I don't fancy picking up a bike of this weight, even though it's not one of the most heavy bikes and it's quite a low centre of gravity. It easily fall over if I put the side stand down. So what I did, I carried on a bit further than I intended going, and finished in, as I mentioned a couple of times in the video, in the car park of Hassop station, which is on the roundabout that one way goes to Hassop, another way to Bakewell, and another way on to Chatsworth, as well as the road that I went on this morning when I was going round Oak Bends. So this is quite a pleasant little village, and I say it's not one that I've visited a lot. There's not the obvious tourist attractions there in Great Lonstone, but there's a couple of pubs. That's the one I mentioned. It's looked quite a slopey car park, and so I didn't stop there. And then I think there's another one just up here. And then I got this vehicle approaching me. Thought, is he going to stop or is he going to go? In the end, he comes halfway across the road and stops. So what I had to do is go past him right across the road. And no idea what he tried to do. If he were going to stop to let me past, it wasn't really the ideal spot to be stopping. He should have pulled over to his side of the road, but who knows? Perhaps they don't like strangers in the village. So heading out of the village now, and just have a quick look round really. Say there's a couple of pubs, and I think there's a shop as well. And apart from that, it's just nice buildings really. So I'm coming towards the end of my video now. Shall I put some music on, or shall I keep waffling on? I think I'll just do a bit more commentary. Might be easiest. There's some back lanes, I'm not sure where they go to exactly. I'll have to give them a go sometime. I know there's one goes off to left here. I don't know where that ends up. I'll have to have a look on my map about that one. There we go, out into 60 limit. I know there's been a lot of controversy recently in some villages where there's been accidents saying, well, why have you made it a 60 limit? But the point is, 60 is not the target. You don't have to go 60. That's just it's the default setting really, if nothing's been set as a lesser speed limit. So there's no obligation to keep up at the speed limit on this sort of lane. It wouldn't be sensible. I mean, looking at my speedometer, I'm only doing about 35, which is that probably overreads. So it's probably somewhere nearer, only just over 30. So more or less back now. I'm on part of the route that I went on early on at the start of the video. That's the one that leads back to that little roundabout. So a bit more going round some bends, or going round the bend as probably am now. So just sit back and enjoy the scenery that I passed earlier on in the day. Oh, tomorrow I'm out on the bike again because it's the first Monday of the month, although by the time this video gets posted it's probably too late, but it's first Wednesday of the month. It's classic bike meet at the Duke William pub on the outskirts of Matlock, on the road that leads up to I can't remember the name of the village now. It's on the outskirts of Matlock. Oh, Starcombs. It's on the outskirts of Matlock, leading up to Starcombs, which is like a hilly way over to Cromford. And if you look to the side of that road going up, you're more or less on the height of the top of the cable car, so it's quite a high up road to go down. So here we are approaching the roundabout for Hassop, and at the end of the video I've got another map on. That's just the map of this part of the journey. I split it into two because I hadn't decided whether I'm going to post it as two separate videos, and in the end I just posted it as the one. It reads in having two separate videos with two starts on each. So even though it's quite a longish video, longer than I intended, I've done it as one. So here we are then. So here's the map coming up, and it's goodbye till the next one.